What's happening, everyone? Welcome into the second edition of the Full of Wind podcast. Sam Brief in Chicago, Justin Nelson in Auckland, New Zealand, which, Justin, is not your usual digs in Wellington. Is it really that windy there?
In Auckland? No, not as windy as it is in Wellington. Great to see you again, Sam, as always. But on the road for a little bit of basketball commentary in my day-to-day job at the moment. So, yeah, visiting Auckland.
On the road for basketball commentary, that's the dream for both you and me. That's why we go together well. That's why we're on this podcast. And for those of you just joining Full of Wind for the first time, this is a podcast connecting two hemispheres of sport, Northern and Southern, from two very windy cities, Chicago and usually Wellington. So, Justin, we got 6 topics, 5 minutes each. You ready to dive in?
Let's get into it, mate.
3, 2, 1, let's get into it indeed. I want to start in my neck of the woods. NBA playoffs just started. We have about 3 games under our belt in each series. Draymond Green has already stepped on someone's chest. The Phoenix Suns have gotten a scare. The Stomper.
He's known as the Stomper down this part of the world. Yep, done.
Tell me the perception of Draymond Green in your part of the world before we get into title picks.
I don't know that anybody quite understands him down here. He's a competitor. We know he's a fierce competitor. We know that he can be fun. We know that he can be controversial. And we know that he can be a little bit erratic at times. And we saw all of that the other night, didn't we?
Yeah, but did you see Sabonis sort of grab his leg before the stomp? There was a leg grab.
Yeah, saw that. Definitely saw that. But the way that we consume our sport is with a little bit of humour. So I must admit, I think the great headline to come out of that whole incident was Draymond Green asking for an X-ray on his ankle after the game. We found that pretty funny.
Hey, well, Draymond Green has offended your people before because he kicked Steven Adams in a place on a man's body where it hurts quite a bit. So is he hated in the Southern Hemisphere?
Well, I think the thing that we found amusing out of that is if you're going to kick anybody in that part of the anatomy, Steven Adams isn't the guy to do it to. So
that's not it. Do it to a guy who looks more like me, Draymond.
Correct. Yeah, he picked out the wrong person for that, and I think he knew it straight away.
That being said, I think Draymond Green and the antics and the fire that he has inside of him, I think it's great for the game of basketball because this is a sport where even a lot of diehard basketball fans here in the States say, I don't like the NBA. I only watch college basketball. They don't try in the NBA. They don't play defense. Well, Draymond Green tries. He plays defense, and sometimes he plays so hard that he's kicking people in the nuts and stepping on their chests. So is it a little too much sometimes? Yeah. Do I condone that? No. But it's fun sometimes.
Yeah, love the competitiveness, but more to the point, does that now cost the Warriors their season?
Well, they're down 0-2 against a Sacramento team that's playing very well. De'Aaron Fox looks like a playoff MVP candidate if this keeps up. My pick to win the series, it was Golden State. Now it's Sacramento because they just look too good. No Draymond for Game 3. Who's your pick?
No, I think everyone's with you. I think everyone's with the Kings. Keep lighting that beam. I've seen some comments over the last 24 hours, people saying, stop lighting the beam. Don't stop lighting the beam. The fans love it. If the fans love it, give the fans what they want. Light it and light it and light it again.
Light the heck out of it. De'Aaron Fox, he's a really clutch player. Someone who's not as much on the international radar because he plays in Sacramento. He won the inaugural Jerry West Award this year. That's given to the NBA player who is the most clutch by whatever metrics we use to define clutch. He gets it done. Domantas Sabonis, he gets it done. Hope his chest is okay. Give me the Kings in that series. And Justin, since we only have 90 seconds left on the NBA playoffs, let's get into title picks. Starting with you, I'm guessing you're not picking the Lakers to win it all.
No, Lakers won't win it all. I'm well and truly off that bandwagon. What I do love right now, and there's a long way to go, so anyone can win it from here. There's a long way to go. Let's put that out there right away. But I'm loving the matchup of the Suns and the Clippers.
Isn't that fun?
Yes.
Which side of it are you loving?
Well, it's a tough one right now because the pressure's back on the Suns. We know that, but The Clippers look complete. Do I think they can go all the way? Not sure about that, but I reckon they can get past the Suns.
Really? That's funny because the Suns are my title pick. They're 9-1 with Kevin
Wow.
Durant in the lineup this year. I just think that starting lineup, as much as they lack depth, when they're healthy, you've got Durant, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Torrey Craig, who isn't too bad. There's just too much firepower. And the NBA playoffs are about firepower. Yeah.
Hang on. Which title pick? Conference or all?
All.
Wow. Wow.
Phoenix Suns will win the title this year because you know what? That top four is just too nasty.
I'm coming back to you on this in a few weeks' time. There we go.
Okay, a few weeks' time. Justin Nelson, he has to sit back and he has to let it get to the conference finals before he can muster a prediction. I'm going Suns over Celtics, and that's the end of the NBA playoffs. Justin, let's get to our next topic. You hit me with this one, and it's a new basketball innovation in the New Zealand NBL. Player-only timeouts. Tell me about this.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It was brought into the Pro Women's League here in 2022, and it's now started in the Pro Men's League in New Zealand. It's a player-only timeout. So each team can have one player-only timeout per half. And essentially what it is the player in possession of the ball, must be the player in possession, can verbally call a player timeout. Doesn't have to signal it. It's just a verbal notification to the referee, bang, player timeout. The two sets of players on the court then come together and they've got 30 seconds to have a chat, to have a talk. They can't go near the bench. They can't talk to the coach. They cannot do anything that involves bringing in other players or coaching staff who are off the court. Can't make any substitutions, nothing. Can't do it. And then you advance the ball. So what we saw happen last week in the second round of the National League here in New Zealand is scores are tied. Player at the free throw line misses the first. Player at the free throw line misses the second. Had two shots with 1 second to go. 1 second in the game.
What's the score?
Scores are tied. 93 all. 1 second to play. Player at the line for one team. Two bonus free throws. Misses the first. Misses the second. Opposition player rebounds as he's in mid-air and grabs the ball, starts screaming out, timeout, timeout, timeout. Instant timeout. Player timeout, two sets of players come together on the floor. They have a talk. Ball advances. Inbound play. Match winner. Bang. Unbelievable.
Wow. So is this a situation in which a normal team timeout wouldn't have stopped the clock because the player timeout is so instant because the second he gets the ball, he's screaming timeout?
Yeah, so here in the National League here, it's not like the NBA where you can call a timeout from the sideline in play or anybody on the court can call a timeout in play. This is only the player in possession of the ball can call the timeout. And it's only the teams that come together on the floor. Nothing to do with the sidelines. You cannot talk to the coach. You can't go anywhere near the sideline. You can't sub on and off. Two teams come together. They talk tactics. The ball advances, and then play restarts. In this situation, 1 second to go. Scores are tied. Missed free throw. Rebounder. Mid-air. Hands on the ball. Timeout, timeout, timeout. Player timeout only. Ball advances. Match winner on the inbound. Bang. Great.
Justin, you and I are both media people, TV people, so my mind goes to this. No commercial break, right?
No commercial break.
So that gets into the flow of the game because watching a March Madness game, watching an NBA playoff game can be so frustrating when teams each have 2 to 3 timeouts with 2 minutes left on the clock, and every freaking 5 seconds we're going to a full 3-minute break, and you're watching all the commercials, and it takes forever. So in the G League, they have a similar innovation. It's called a reset timeout, and each team gets one of those in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime. And it's similar. No huddle. You can make substitutions, but no huddle, and the team advances the ball, and you don't take a commercial break. Now, the flip side of this is if you start converting regular team timeouts into these reset or player-only timeouts, you get less commercial revenue, less money. So obviously it's a big dance. But as a viewer, I love it.
Can I just add, it's called the Sky City player timeout. There you go. There's the commerciality behind it. Bang.
There you go. Okay, so for the NBA's reset timeout, let's make it, what do we want to make it? What's our sponsor? Show me your shirt. What was your shirt?
New Balance.
Okay, New Balance. Official. It's the New Balance reset timeout. No commercial break. Go take a walk in your New Balances after the game.
And, of course, as you can imagine, what do you think everybody's talking about this week here in New Zealand?
That.
How good, how fun, how dramatic, how engaging is the Sky City player timeout?
That is really fun, and that's good for Sky City. Aren't you in a Sky City hotel right now?
I am at the moment, actually. There you go.
Oh, this is just great. We got to have the Sky City money just flowing into the Full of Wind podcast. All right, that's the end of the timeout section. We're not going to take a timeout because this stuff is rapid fire. Let's keep going. And Justin, I want to keep it basketball here, shifting back to the NBA to talk about a dude from France who's really tall and really good at basketball. And his name is Victor Wembanyama. And he is 7'5" in shoes. He has a wingspan of 8 feet. And he's undoubtedly going to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. So I think this guy is going to break the game of basketball in a way that is beautiful and awesome. My question for you is this. If you were an NBA general manager, to what extent would you have tanked for Wembanyama? And what is the worst player that you would be willing to trade for the number 1 pick?
So let's go back a step. Just on the player himself, who no doubt is an unbelievable talent. The one thing that we know about talent is that talent delivers. We know that, okay? Obviously, we know that this kid can play the game. The one thing we don't know, especially in pro sport, is injuries, mental health, all the other things that happen in life around that one individual. We hope it all works out, but you're never 100% sure. That's the first thing that needs to be put on the table. The second thing is, if the rules allow me, as the owner of a team, to put myself in the best possible position to get the best possible player, if the rules allow me to do that, or I'm able to use the rules to do that, why would I not do it?
I'm right with you. And I think this player, and yes, you have to consider all that, and I appreciate that, but those things all go into play with the players on your roster too, right? So if I'm an NBA general manager and I have, just name an all-star player, Donovan Mitchell. We talk injuries, we talk all the logistics that go into being an NBA player. That could affect Donovan Mitchell just as easily as it could affect Victor Wembanyama. So on that, I still think he's worth taking a deep risk for.
Oh, 100%.
And then on the tanking, I'm with you there because the NBA is in a difficult spot where they've tried to adjust the lottery to make it less tankable. So instead of the number 1 pick being about a 25% chance for the worst team, it's now gone to a 14% chance for each of the 3 worst teams. And then it goes to 12.5, 10.5, 7.5, and so on. But that being said, it's still 14% versus
which is better than 10%.
1 or 0. Right. So if you're an NBA owner, you know math, right? If you're that damn rich, you're good at math. So you know that giving yourself a 14% chance of once-in-a-generation talent, it's worth it. So I think critics of tanking aren't criticizing the right thing because when you criticize tanking, you're just criticizing smart strategy. I think the only thing... Yeah.
Tell me this. Is it a slap in the face to the NBA when they hand out a $750,000 fine to the Dallas Mavericks for the way they openly tanked in their game a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Now, and then the owner, Mark Cuban, turns around and goes, okay, we'll wear that. and I'll match that 750 and donate it to charity. Is that a slap in the face? Great for
I,
charity.
I just love Mark Cuban.
Great.
I love him on Shark Tank. I love him as an owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He's an amazing dude. And that move was awesome. Now, this is where the tanking gets interesting, though, Justin, because it's one thing to tinker with your roster in the offseason and put yourself in a position to be in the lottery and get the number one pick, maybe. It's another thing to put out a pretty embarrassing roster for the final game of the season and purposely lose a game that some of your fans are paying good money to go see. That's where I don't know how to stop it, but I wasn't a huge fan. And it's funny because the Mavs were actually playing the Bulls, so I was watching that game here in Chicago.
If I'm a fan to an arena and that's the only game I'm going to for the season, I'm asking for my money back on the way out.
Yeah, and you can't. Right, they would just say, sorry, sir, we don't know what to do. You can call our helpline and I don't know, maybe get like a free slushie next year. Yeah, tanking, it's one of those necessary evils, right? Sort of like traffic in a big city, and you just sort of deal with it.
Yeah, bang. Can we stick with the Bulls for a moment and go to our next topic, which is something that happened down in Australia last week? They had the under-18 national championships, which is a big, big competition. You've got the very, very best players and best teams from the states, the different states in Australia come together and they play in the national under-18 championships. Now, of course, the Bulls made a little bit of news last week with some free throw shooting and some screaming going on from the baseline, correct?
Yep. DeMar DeRozan's daughter is the toast of Chicago right now.
Well, that has taken off to some extent down under, where at the under-18 national championships, there was a lot of razzing and cheering and yelling and screaming going on when players were making free throws. And a directive from the national governing body, Basketball Australia, out to all of the fans at that particular tournament, at that championship, was you must be silent when players are taking free throws. Can you believe that? What is going on?
It almost makes me want to cry. Now,
what is going on?
I don't even know where to begin. As a young boy, I would sit behind the basket at the United Center at Chicago Bulls games, and they would hand out, I think they still do, the Thunder Sticks. Yeah. And you smack them together. And right now at Bulls games, they still have a promotion where if the opposing player in the fourth quarter misses both free throws, everyone gets free Italian beef. And in Chicago, that's like gold nuggets.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I love Australia. I'm repping my Brisbane Bandits right here.
That.
But come on, get your act together.
Here's the message out of it. To anyone who's even thinking of doing something similar, and certainly a slap for Basketball Australia in this case, don't ever, ever not allow a fan to be a fan. Full stop.
Let me ask you this. What's the penalty if I show up there and I go full DR DeRozan on the free throw line?
I got no idea, but those bouncers in Australia are pretty big dudes, so you better look out.
Yeah, I am 5'8" and 130 pounds, so I'm probably not going to be the one to mess around. But then again, as you know, I'm a professional, Justin Nelson, so I won't mess around. But I do think this brings up a somewhat troubling trend in sport, right? Why does a governing body feel the need to meddle with fan behavior that's been sort of accepted as a reality? If you go to a rugby match, an American football game, a baseball game in America, whatever it is, fans are a part of it. Fans are going to scream, fans are going to boo, fans are going to cheer. Why limit what a fan can do? That's only going to drive down revenue.
Well, fans aren't a part of it. Fans are the part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear me talk about fans all the time. Fans is my go-to. It's my number one. It's where I live and breathe. I love the fan, and without the fan, we don't exist in the world of sport. The fact is, the players are the stars of the show. The fans are the stars of the game. Don't ever stop a fan from being a fan. And Andrew Bogut, you remember Andrew Bogut, of course, played over many, many years in the NBA. He took to social media and called this out. when it happened last week, and it got a lot of traction, and rightfully so. I think it's a huge mistake. Basketball Australia needs to pull their head in, certainly needs to stop making ridiculous rules up like that, and we need to let fans be fans.
What's your favorite thing to do behind the free throw line to distract a player? Are you the kind of guy who's taking your shirt off and showing me everything you got?
I'll keep my New Balance shirt on, I think. I'm one of these people that loves to observe what other people do. That's what I like to see. I like to watch how other people react, what they do, and how they be fans, how their fandom comes to life. I'm that guy standing over in the corner, not looking at the player shooting, but looking at the fans and the way that they react and what they do. And I love it. I want fans to be fans. I want them to be crazy and out there, and provided it's not demonstrative or they're not hurting anybody, or they're not abusing or racially abusing anybody. Hey, be a fan. Have a great time. That's what you paid your money to get in and do. Have a great night out. It's your event. It's your entertainment, and you should have fun.
This is bad sportsmanship. Hey, Justin Nelson, you're a goddamn good-for-nothing scumbag. That's bad. I would never condone that. But this? Woo!
Let it go.
That's just fun. Let's all have some fun. And Justin, let's move on to our penultimate topic here. You hit me with this one the other night. This is about the prioritization of CBAs and player wages. What's on your mind here?
Well, it's big news everywhere around the world, isn't it? We often see these big competitions go into CBA discussions, lengthy conversations, and negotiations. And look, I'm all for players being paid. Don't get me wrong. Please don't take this wrong. I'm all for players being paid and being looked after. You have a limited time at the elite level in sport, and you should be able to do and make and be what you can be in that time, because it comes to an end very, very quickly unless you're LeBron James. It comes to an end very, very quickly. So I'm all for players earning, don't get me wrong. But for me, that's secondary. The health of the sport and the sustainability of teams in the sport or in the competition are number one. The priority must be that teams are healthy and sustainable financially, because if we don't have them, those players don't have anywhere to earn that money. They don't have anywhere to work every day to make a living and hopefully put some money aside for the rest of their life. So for me, the thing we've got to get right, and the thing we need to keep coming back to, is it's okay to ask for more, no problems. But if the health and sustainability of teams is not where it needs to be in order to ask for more, then sit back and understand the complexities that come with you asking for more. We have to be healthy and sustainable so you have somewhere to work. Without the business, there's no jobs.
My favorite comedian, Jerry Seinfeld, said it best. When we watch sports, we're not really rooting for the players, because your favorite player on your favorite team will get traded to another team, and then you see him and you go, boo! And the only reason why is because he's wearing a different shirt. And Jerry Seinfeld says, hey, we're not rooting for players, we're just rooting for laundry. And the laundry is the team, and the teams make up the sport. So I'm right with you there. But that's when human nature comes into play.
Of course.
Because all the players, they are always going to ask for more. So the question for you as a veteran of the industry who's been a general manager and now works on the media side extensively, how do you combat human nature? Because it seems like a catch-22.
And that's all about those who aren't playing. So people who are in the boardrooms and on the player unions, they need to be really smart when they sit at the table. If you grow the pie together, the slices are bigger. And that's the thing that needs to be front and foremost in the minds of those who are sitting around the boardroom. The problem with playing a game is you don't get to sit at the boardroom table. You rely on others to do it. And it's really important that those people at the boardroom table, the custodians, those who will pass it on to somebody else at some stage, they need to make the smart decisions and help grow that pie. Because again, as the pie grows, the slices get bigger.
And something that I follow closely here in the States is minor league baseball. Minor league baseball just a few months ago established a players association for minor leaguers who, until a few months ago, were paid below the poverty level. You can have a minimum wage job and work part-time and still make more money than some minor league baseball players. Now, they've made strides. I think it's about a 62% average increase they've seen in pay. But part of growing the sport and keeping the sport and the laundry sustainable is making sure that the bottom gets fed. Because, of course, you're going to have your LeBrons who are making hundreds of millions of dollars over their career, but you have to make sure minor league baseball players get paid. And whatever the equivalent of that group of people is in whatever sport, in whatever country in the world, you have to make sure the bottom gets fed and that you invest in the youth and invest in the young people, because that's how you grow a sport forward.
So let's flip that. If you're a star of the game, and let's not put a name to it because there's plenty of stars in plenty of games. If you're a star of the game, are you willing to take less to help the health and sustainability of the funnel and the sport and the business? And again, with that rising talent, to make sure that they're being looked after, are you willing to take less?
No.
There you go.
Because I'm human. Why should I sacrifice my well-being and my family's financial future for some dude who's 22 and just wants to play baseball? That's why it's a difficult question to answer. But Justin, I want to move on to our final topic because we just hit the buzzer. And this one's really fun. This one's not going to hurt our brains like the last one.
No, I love it. I know where you're going, and I love it.
Ted Lasso is the best person in the world, and Nathan sucks.
I tell you what, it took me till halfway through series 1 or season 1 to work out that one of the key writers on this show is the hard man, Roy.
Is Roy Kent. Brett Goldstein. Isn't he amazing?
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. To actually,
do you know the story behind that?
No, go.
Okay, so they concepted the character. And Brett Goldstein, the writer, is the one who came up with the character Roy Kent. He wrote everything for the character Roy. And then they did auditions. And one guy comes in, no. Another guy, no. Another guy, no. So Brett Goldstein goes home one night and he says, God, I could do this better than all these people. So he shows up the next day, does the audition, crushes it, and now he's Roy Kent.
And how good is he in this show?
You know, I was Roy for Halloween last year. My lovely fiance was Kile.
You know, the thing that surprised me, as you know, I was in London not that long ago, and got to talk to a lot of people, and I was talking about this show called Ted Lasso. They had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, it's not popular at all there, is it?
And yet it is set there. It's about English football. We're talking about the same team names, except for Richmond. Obviously, we're talking about the same team names, playing in the Premier League. They don't even know about it. And those that I was staying with, I put them onto the show, love it.
What's the reception like in Australia? Because I know here in America, it's huge. Everyone watches it.
Yeah. Oh, and I look down here, New Zealand and Australia, people love it. I mean, it is such a different, fun, enjoyable, relaxing view of the sporting world where, you know what, at times we all take ourselves a little bit too seriously. The great thing about Ted Lasso, it's just life, man.
Well, it really captures real sport in a lot of ways. I love the mental health angle of it. And actually, the whole cast of Ted Lasso was just with Joe Biden at the White House to promote mental health care access in America. So they're really doing some good for the world. And I think showing the panic attacks that Ted has and showing how he deals with that and how he goes to therapy on a really serious level, I think that helps a lot of people. Because when you think happiness and positivity, like Ted Lasso is number one. So if he can struggle, you can struggle too. So it hits that. Yeah.
Is it the Diamond Dogs?
Yeah. Ruff, 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 ruff.
I want the Diamond Dogs to run the UN. Just run the UN. Run the world.
They solve everything.
I'd vote them in tomorrow.
Oh, mate, I'll be right back. Stay right there. 2 seconds.
Here we go. This will be fun. I got no idea what's going on, folks. clearly an American doing crazy things right now. So stick with us. It's either someone at the door.
I
or
hear
you're
you
picking
shit
someone up.
talking me.
What have you done? Oh, there we go. What a great way to finish this week's show full of
Just
wind.
believe. I'm not going to be
beauty,
like
mate.
Nate and rip it in half.
You're a beauty.
Justin, before we go,
Yeah.
prediction. Who will win the Premier League this year in Ted Lasso? Will it be Richmond? Will it be West Ham? Or will it be the Field?
Well, is it true that season 3 is it? It's done?
There's so
Surely
many
not.
rumors. Some people
Come
say
on.
yes, some people say no. I have no idea.
Well, if this is season 3, and I don't know what's going to happen from here, I'm with all of you around the world with where we're at the moment. Surely they win. Surely.
My money's on West Ham wins, and we get a season 4, so we win.
There we go. Love it. Good on you. Great to see
Next
you again,
level.
as always.
Justin
Cheers, mate.
Nelson, you are the man. And folks, this has been Full of Wind, episode 2. Episode 3 coming in hot very soon. Justin, stay cool, okay? Go
Cheers,
Richmond.
mate.